Gary, I guess frustrating could sum up the result.
Yeah, it is, Pete. I thought our first quarter was real good ball movement. Our effort to minimise any damage that Werribee was doing, I thought was really good. And that was probably even a step up again in the second quarter when the ball was being pinged from one end of the ground to the other. And Ross probably got off the chain a little bit with his ability to be someone that if they wanted inside Werribee's defence, they'd exit out through him. And at half-time, very winnable game still. Third quarter, the momentum started to shift their way. And even at three-quarter time, there was only 4.5 goals, so I was still reasonably confident that if we could actually put our best football together, that we would be able to actually get a little bit closer, but it didn't work out that way. Our finesse and polish and class and skill were all below par, and a side like Werribee's ability to hurt you turnover-wise was, I thought, very good for them today, and they ended up winning by whatever it was, 10 goals in the end. So that wasn't the difference between the two sides, I didn't think, but that was the margin on the scoreboard. But yeah, execution, poise, just things we lacked, especially forward half of the centre, I thought, and it was diabolic to a running, rebounding, defending team like Werribee.
It seemed to be that in the first quarter, we owned the central corridor, the ball was fluent down the middle of the ground. We got caught going sideways in that final quarter.
Yeah, we did, and that's because what happens is, mate, the ball gets turned over, so of course you tend to lose your ability to be clean and be precise and be sharp, and I thought we looked tired, and it was a case of, I think, players too not being particularly positive, because it was more about will we be able to hit a target rather than we will hit a target. And if you've got that mindset, well, of course, the doubts creep in, and you're always on the back foot. We get no ability to buy any time for our defenders or our midfielders to potentially look back and hook back to try and give some sort of support, and it goes into a fairly open forward line, and their foot skills were far superior than us all day.
Experiment today, seeing Danny Hughes go down to defence.
Yeah, look, I thought that was a positive move. We know how devastating Warren was last time with 11 goals, and we thought with Dan's physical attributes, and I thought he was pretty good, and there were things that he couldn't do a heck of a lot about, and some of the ball that he got was certainly no fault of Dan's at all. And when you're playing in defence, you rely a lot on how much pressure is exerted from your forward line right through the midfield, and I thought that was a positive move for us today.
There's some flashes of form from some players. First of all, Dingley in that first quarter kicking 5 goals. And it seemed in the second term as well, there was a spring in the step of Julian Rowe.
Yeah, there was, and he probably took the mark of the year, I guess, as well. So Julian needs to understand that there's a lot more in his game that he can do, which is going to give him a greater contribution. But he's been out of the game at VFL level for something like 5 years. So there were glimpses from him. I thought Heath O'Farrell to come back in today. Look, he's just a real hard worker and roll the sleeves up sort of guy, and I thought he was pretty solid. Mick Dillon's effort on Jared Moore in the first half, I thought was very good. And there were glimpses from other guys, Sam Plemings, courage, and obviously the way he works his defenders. So for really 2.5 quarters again, we were probably okay, and the energy and the effort, intensity was pretty good, but it's just the finer points of the game when we had the ball, I thought, really let us down.
Depending on other results, we slipped to 6th or 7th, and it creates a Russian roulette situation between that position and 10th. With 2 games to go, we need to win 1 to lock at a top 8 spot.
Yeah, we do, Pete, and look, we're well aware of that. So, what ifs, you can't really worry about those anymore now. And Geelong will be our next opponent. So for us to regroup, we'll have a good look at Geelong. Obviously, we're not sure where we're going to be playing them at this stage. There's some talk that it may be down at Frankston, because depending on what happens with our ground, but I guess that'll be in the hands of the gods, really, how much wet weather we get in the next 3 to 4 days. So, yeah, but we just have to take that in our stride, as we've done a lot of things this year. It's just been one roadblock after another, and of course for us to put up with all that has been trying at times, but as you said, the finals are still on the agenda, very much so. So winning 1 more game, why not start this week against Geelong?
And just before we go, one little bit of positive news coming out of Collingwood. Sam Dwyer getting a 2-year contract extension.
Yeah, well, I hope he understands that there's been a certain coach that's been with him for 6 years and he wouldn't mind a loan. But no, real credit to Sam. He's worked very, very hard to try and get where he's got to at this point in time. And it's great from the Port Melbourne Footy Club to see Sam doing what he's done so well at AFL level. It's a credit to Sam and his family, and we wish him all the best.
Post-match at Chirnside Park, Werribee and Greg, despite our performance against Boxall a few weeks ago today, unfortunately the scoreboard wasn't pretty.
No, they jumped us early, Pete, and we really couldn't come back. Skill errors really cost us, turning the ball over, and they were very, very slick with their execution.
Certainly a wake-up call a couple of weeks out from the finals.
Yeah, well, our finals, we need to win the next two, otherwise our finals are in real jeopardy. So we need to regroup tomorrow and have another look, eh?
Has it been tough trying to get the training squad together, obviously considering the ground situation over the last couple of weeks and the weather?
Oh, yeah, look, that all plays a bit of a part. I think we haven't known whether where we've been training Tuesday, Thursday, and puts everyone on edge a bit. But we have to be better than that. It's not the end of the world when you've changed training venues, but I know it does put them off centre a little bit. But yeah, this week let's settle it down. We know where we're going this week. We've got the 3 nights planned. Hopefully we can have 2 good performances next Saturday and Sunday.
What positive can we take out of today's game?
Oh, look, they didn't stop trying. And look, we had Sam O'Sullivan play a different role today on ball, and I thought he was pretty good. Josh Muirling keeps putting his hand up and really having a go. Tommy Gordon was back and showing a little bit after his illness. Buddha Johnson keeps, really hitting in hard and doing all those things. Callan Thornton again tried hard, even though was probably, we got beaten on the day, but we had some good players amongst all that, and if we can limit our turnovers, we'll be a better side.
The big comeback, of course, being for Miles Pitt.
Yeah, and that's really pleasing, and that's pleasing for the club and for Miles that he's got through now, one with Sorrento and one with us, and we put him under a fair bit of pressure with 4-1 at stages. They had 4 dropping back on him. One out, he won the ball and won it well, so that was really good.
An interesting scenario next week as well. I believe it's playing against Casey Bat at Frankston as a reserve grade doubleheader.
Yeah, an interesting concept. So we're the first game, and then Frankston play, I'm not sure who they're following up with, but obviously our senior boys play on Saturday against Geelong in the early game because it's a tally game, and then we will go out to Frankston. We've had good success out there though. We've won all our games we've played out at Frankston, so it's like a home ground for us anyway.
Borough TV is a Port Melbourne Football Club production.